Hi guys, my name is Trinity, and if you are here, you must be here to talk about books because that's why I'm here, to talk about some books. In today's video, I will be doing the last of my weekly wrap-ups. As you guys have seen in the channel changes video, I am going to start doing some vlogs. But today, we are going to go ahead and do a weekly wrap-up and talk about the books that I have read this week. So to start off this week, I read the Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Notice I'm not holding up the book. It's because I got rid of it. Oh my goodness. So, I had heard that Ren was an unlikable character, and to me, that said, I'm probably gonna like it because I love Kavoth. I love Mia from Nevernight. These people who everyone starts talking about as unlikable characters, I'm like, oh, but these are my favorite characters. However, what nobody mentions is that Ren is not dark. Ren is not cold-hearted. Ren is not a bitch. Ren is a whiny little brat. So if I were to pick a character I would never read from, that would be a whiny little brat's perspective. Ren. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to just throw this book in the trash. I didn't like it at all, but it was because of Ren. I think R.F. Kuang's writing is actually quite good because, man, did I hate Ren. And if that was what we were going for, she did a fantastic job. A fantastic job. I have never disliked a character more in my life than Ren. And I cannot stand it when people are whiny. I will get mad at my husband when he gets whiny because he turns into a 4-year-old whenever he's tired. And I will be like, just get out of my face and go to bed. So yeah, I really didn't like Ren at all. And I can't say much about the book itself because I was highly distracted by the fact that I hated Ren and couldn't read the rest of it because I was so in so much hate for Ren that I couldn't see past that. Next, I read Malice by Heather Walter. This is a book that I had on hold at the library, so it was an audiobook. It is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. I thought it was fabulous, guys. I actually really enjoyed Heather Walter's writing. I really enjoyed the relationships in this book. And I always love retellings told in the villain's perspective. Those are some of my favorites. I love like Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I really just love hearing the villain's perspective, period. Because I want to know, how did they get to that point? Everybody always wants to know, how did they get to that point? We like the backstory. We really like hearing it. And so this is also sapphic, and it was done so well. I loved the relationships in this. The characters were so good. And again, I really just love like books that are told from the villain's perspective. Those are so good to me. So good. I can't say that every one of them that I've read has been good, but this one kind of hit the nail on the head. Okay, next would be The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst. Guys, I just did my favorite fantasy series of all time, and I feel a need to redo it. This is so good. So, if you guys don't know what The Queen of Blood is about, because this is the second book, we have a young girl who goes to training to become an heir to the queen. A lot of stuff happens. And spoilers for The Queen of Blood if you have not read it. She becomes queen kind of by default, kind of by political machinations that happen. And in this book, we are seeing the results of her taking the throne, and some more scheming has occurred. And now she is on the lookout for her own heir. However, there is not anyone strong enough to take her place should anything happen. And we get the reluctant queen in the form of a mama bear figure who is just absolutely wonderful to read from her perspective, because she's gonna do her, and she's gonna take care of her babies, and that's it. And it's called The Reluctant Queen for a reason, so we'll let you guys read it to figure out why. But oh my gosh, I'm in love with this series, guys. In love. Okay, so the next book that I read would be my book of the month pick, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This was pretty good. It was pretty good. I gave it a 3.5. So we have a girl who is going through a divorce and really is not having the best time. And so she goes on a vacation that her and her husband had planned, basically to get away from him. And when she is there, she stumbles across a vial from an apothecary. However, this story is told from the perspective of the apothecary and the girl who is having a rough go in her marriage. So we get the dual timeline, one set in the past and one set today. And I found myself really drawn to the story that was unfolding in the past, and not so much the modern day story that was unfolding with our main character. So I think that part of this book's faults is that it doesn't focus enough on the past and focuses too much on the contemporary. And I say faults. For me, I'm not a contemporary reader, so the historical fiction aspects of this book really appealed to me, and some of the setting really appealed to me. But as far as a girl going through a separation and dealing with said dude, I wasn't a huge fan of that. So that's where the 3.5 comes from. I do think I rounded it up to a 4 on Goodreads, but I loved elements of it and then just didn't like others. So I don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's good. Let's talk about disappointing reads for a moment. I really loved Shadow and Bone, and I thought it was such a good way to harken back to the young adult of the 90s whenever I grew up. But I don't like this book, guys. I think I ended up giving it a 3-star on Goodreads, but I think I might go back and give it a 2. Because I really just didn't like this book at all. So, Elena, she has run away from the Darkling, is recaptured and brought back. And one of the characters that I have heard I'm going to fall in love with was Nikolai. I don't know that I fell in love with him. I liked him. This book was the most meh book I've read in a while. Like, am I glad that I read it? I don't know. Do I want to read the third one? I don't know. I mean, I love Leigh Bardugo's writing style, so I do want to kind of see how this story concludes, but I'm not eager to move on to the third book. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom is by far so much better than this series. Like, exponentially so. I have actually seen some people be like, well, I don't get why people like Six of Crows and they don't like the Grishaverse. I get it. I really get it. This book kind of sucked. I can't tell you why it sucks because everything is a little bit spoilery and why I think it sucks, but some of it has to do with the plot and there being almost none. And some of it has to do with things not quite making sense. So, I do want to see if the third book kind of pulls it all together and makes this book make sense, but this one is just not my thing. Not my thing. Okay, the final book that I read, The Last Watch by J.S. Durst. Whoo! If you think that Golden Sun by Pierce Brown is a breakneck book, you don't know what you're talking about. The Last Watch is the most breakneck pacing book I've ever read in my life. I like fast-paced books. I like plot. But oh Lord, I still don't know how I feel about this book because there were elements about it that I loved, and I do like that breakneck speed, but we never slowed down. We never slowed down to get to know our characters. We never slowed down to understand what was going on. It was just this high octane, in your face read, and I think I gave it a 3.5 and rounded up to 4 stars on Goodreads. But man, I do still want to read the second book, but even I am thrown by the pacing and plot of this novel, and that's a lot coming from me. Like, I really like fast-paced books, and I really like plot-driven novels, but this one, whoo, I really don't know what else to say about it. Oh, I do. So we have some very unlikable characters in this book. We have a prince that's kind of an ass, and he's a lot to take. And he is exiled from his home because he tried to go against his father, and he's just a sassy asshole. And I didn't care for him all that much, but unlikable characters don't put me off to a book. Except for the Poppy War, because it's a different type of unlikable character. Asshole type characters don't put me off to a book. But I do have a hard, even now, I've been finished with the book for a few days, and even now I'm like, what did I read? What did I read? I don't even know what I read. I do think that if you like fast-paced novels, this is one you should give a go. And like I said, I do plan to read the second book. I have it. I think that I will probably like it, but I do hope the pacing gets a little bit better, that we're not going at breakneck speeds for the entirety of a 800-page book. So that's all I have to say about that. I am currently reading The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. I'm almost finished. I think I've got about 50-ish pages left. This is really, really good, guys. So I believe Kate at the Literary Apothecary told me about this book. I'm pretty sure it was her. I will give her channel down below, link her channel. I love this book. So I'm a huge fan of The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. There are a lot of historical inaccuracies in The Nightingale, but I really just love the story. So I didn't really mind. This one, however, it is more historically accurate, and I am enjoying like everything that is going on in this book. We have our main character, Charlie St. Clair, who is pregnant and making her way to rid herself of the baby. She calls it the little problem in the beginning, but she has been told that it's a little problem, so that's what she calls it, or the LP, which is cute but disturbing all at the same time. And she is a college girl who is very, very good at math, and she is also very broken because her brother committed suicide, so trigger warning for that. After the war, she went in a downward spiral. That's why she's pregnant. And she decides to run away from her mother, who is taking her to take care of her problem and her baby. And her only lead in trying to get away from her mother is she's trying to hunt down her cousin Rose that she grew up with, has the name of the person who actually looked into the case of where her cousin might be, hunts her down, only to find out that the lady that tracked down Rose is a former spy in the war. And so this follows both of the girls' stories. We have Eve, the spy that she finds. We have Charlie, the girl that is pregnant and running away from her family and trying to find her cousin. I love this book so much. The writing, Kate Quinn's writing is so good. And the pacing of this book is fantastic. I feel like it's such an easy read, and you're just along for the ride. I really like authors who can do that. So I believe I'm going to land at a 5-star for the Alice Network. I will give you guys updates on my Goodreads and on Twitter for this one, because after this video, I'm going to move into the vlogs, but I wanted to update you guys that I'm almost finished with this. It's probably going to be a 5-star. Absolutely love it. And thank you to Kate for recommending it, because yes, I am a fan of Kate Quinn. Also, one more update. If you guys have been following my Goodreads for a little while, I have had Woodcastle as the book that I'm currently reading for quite some time. I did a bad. So I went out to the lake and I took this book with me, telling myself that I was going to read it, and I accidentally left it there. So I finally got it back and I will be picking this up soon as well. All right, that's it for me today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.